This is part two of the series, and today we're going to look at biological factors and talent. Biology and talent. The development of an athlete's talent can be affected by their biology. This refers to a person's genetics in this aspect, which can vary from person to person. It can impact a person cognitively as well as their motor ability. Biological growth affects athletic performance during childhood and adolescence. For 2012. So with athletes, you have them where they can be affected by their nature or their nurture, rather that is, their nature being how they are brought up, so developed within their like family or how they grew up, or nurture how so they're born with their natural abilities. Nature or nurture. The biological side of talent development has been heavily influenced by the nature versus nurture argument. The historical debate on the relative influence of genes, i.e., nature, and environment, i.e., nurture, on human behavior has been characterized by extreme positions, leading to reductionist and polemic conclusions. David and Baker, 2017. So rather, if a person is biologically developed through when they're born or should via their environment as they grow up. This is a theory that presents itself as we are born with certain abilities that we may have inherited from our ancestors. Galton, 1869. Most lasting contributions for good or ill was his suggestion that factors affecting human achievement can be divided into those exerting their influence through biological mechanisms through nature. I suggest there is a definite limit to the muscular powers of every man, which he cannot by any educational exertion overpass. Within this article, we are made to believe that we have a biological limit at which we reach. Some may be less or greater due to their genes. So your potential, you reach your maximum potential by developing those muscular powers or so your skill, but there's only so far you can make it due to your genetic capabilities. Researchers interested in the role of nature in human performance and development focused on the notion of heritability, the proportion of variation in a trait or characteristics among members of population that is due to genetic influence. Baker, 2020. So on the next slide, we're going to go through what it is to inherit sort of your ability or inherit genes that allow you to further your talent development within sport and how they produce NBA players. For example, here, Bobo. The Dinka tribe is located in Sudan and is a tribe that is known as one of the tallest in Africa, an average height of 5'11". Well, they likely evolved to best survive in a hot climate, says some school of thought. Longer limbs could allow them to sweat more and not overheat. Green Run 2018. So these people have developed over time to become taller, longer, slimmer, not really have a frame. So as it says, to sweat more and not to overheat as much because they live in a hot weather climate. Bobo being blessed with those genes from his ancestors who needed them to sort of survive and be able to thrive in the environment. He became an NBA player. He is 7'2" and is from South Sudanese, so the same tribe, and his ancestors are from and date back being from the Dinka tribe. This includes his dad, who lived there and has tied the NBA record for the tallest player in history, standing at 7'7", as well as his father's parents being tall as well, with his grandmother being 6'10" and his granddad being 6'8". This helped Bobo in basketball, you may say, or developing his talents in basketball. Bobo is genetically tall, built tall and slim, which has made him a premier shot blocker in the NBA, as well as him being able to shoot above defenders easily. Galton created an early versions of correlation and regression to describe quality in 1889. For instance, he used the rudimentary form of correlation and described the relationship between parent height and offspring height. Again, Galton, 1889. So with Boble's parents or his dad being tall, as well as his dad's grandparents being tall, Boble was able to inherit not the ability, but inherit those genes and be just as tall, which impacted his talent development within the sport of basketball. Looks at instead the learning and development based off our genes. We are more impacted by the environment we are in. Nurture-related factors have examined the role of environment on leaning back to the extent in which exceptional skills are trainable. Bacon 2020. Abilities, but I also think there's a greater scope for them to be nurtured and molded into great players with the right guidance. Miller 2015. There's only so much an athlete can be born with physically. Their environment has to allow them to fully unlock their potential, in which they are genetically born with. Without it, using their full potential won't be used. So, for example, who they're brought up with, their coaches, what what they are provided with around them as they grow up or as they try to develop their talents. Now let's look at the NBA and how this has develop their players. Good example of this is within the NBA, where you have some of the players now being able to shoot threes, which is very present with European players who play a more heavily team-involved game, so sharing the ball around. You now have players who were like Dirk Nowitzki, who was 7 foot and also could shoot the ball like a guard, and shoot it from three, shoot it from further away, who developed and then shaped players who further took from more of this. So they got coached. Other players who are now in the league got coached to now play like him. So you have players like Victor Wembanyama who can almost play any position at 7'4", which is towering. Players now that who have those tall genes will now take those genes and further develop them so they can reach their full potential as an athlete.